Yeah, hello, good morning. Nice to have you here. Today our webinar uh, goes for the firmware 2.0 for GY HM170, GY HM200 and GY LS300. Well, with the firmware which we announced on the IVC, or we show off the IVC, there is a bunch of new feature which coming up to your camcorder if you already have it or you try to purchase the camcorder. So there's a very nice, lots of feature. Here's about 7 pages document, what you can see here. And I will pick up about 5 dedicated items from this firmware update. You can find a description of this information which I just prepared for this seminar on the website. And before we start, I'd like to give you a quick overview where you can find this kind of information. Let me open quickly the browser here for you on the screen. And when you are on the webinar page where you're already looking this video, you find the area DOC download. And by this DOC download here, you find a bunch of information. Let me shortly explain you what kind of information you can download here. First of all, that's the latest lens information chart for the GY LS300 kind for the electronic lenses, not for the manual lenses, just for the electronic lenses, which lens can work with the camcorder, which we are tested in the factory, and as we announced already time by time, we will update this list. Also the latest list of the 3G or 4G GSM dongles you can find here on another information. And I wrote a special booklet. It's basically a 100-page, let's say, toolkit booklet for you. And I packed everything in that booklet for all the camcorder range with all the information about IP technology, about the lenses, about the firmware updates, how to do. It's everything compressed in one booklet. It's not only for the HM200, LS300, it's also for the HM650, 850, 890. And also these new updates are explained into that booklet. I think this is a very, very nice handbook. Maybe found some mistake in spelling, sorry for that, but you know, I did it on the site just to give you a hint or a toolbook which you can put in a pocket and have it with you in case of you need a port or you want just to remember how you do the setups. Also, there's an update of the wireless LAN adapters, the latest lists. This will be also updated quite soon because there is a bunch of new adapters in the market which we have to test. Then there's a general firmware information also for the HM650, 850. That's our briefly information what is going to be updated. And also we have a sales information of firmware update. This is actually that paper here which I have in my hand. There is also closer short overview about the key features on that what we're talking today. Last but not least, there is also the IBC booklet. If you visit the iBook, we have a booklet with all main creation product and presentation product built in. This is the PDF version of it. So it's a nice overview, including list price information and also StreamStar products for when you have the plan to do a complete portfolio in case of streaming or event screen. Well, this is the documents you can download here. Okay, let's start with some items about the information. First of all, I take on my desk here an HM200, which represent also the 170. Well, some of the updates which we already made is based for all cameras, and some of them are also for dedicated. For example, 170 have no IP functionality, so therefore the updates in case of IP is not in. But in case of picture improvements or in case of 4K recording, this is also in the 170 as well in the 200 as well in the LS300. And for the LS300, of course, this is a super 35mm sensor camera that has also some dedicated firmware update. So what I like to start with you is about the 4K recording. And just I want to remember you something about the memory cards of it. First of all, make a short review about the memory card usage which we have here in front of us. Let me zoom that quickly in for you. So let's have a quick close up to that card. So just for the explanation of the card, if you do 4K recording, which is with 170 megabit per second, you need a dedicated memory card, which you can see. And this is very important that you see it must be in UHS 1, there is SC1, and U3. That looks like a box or something. This is the U3. This is very important. It's basically a class 13 card, but it's mentioned as UHS 1 class 10. There are also in the market UHS 2, which also surprise for or will be announced for 4K recording. In the most case, you can UHS 2 cards for 4K recording, but they will not work in SD because they have a less speed in case of low transmission rate when it used it as a normal class 10 card. So be carefully. Please use the UHS 1 cards. For all other recording, in case of HD SD, normally we say you should have a quality card, which is a class 10 card. It's clear to see HC, and there is a round box with a 10 in it. This is a standard class 10 cards. Well, just to keep that in memory, this is the class 10. This is what we're using for 4K recording. So coming back to our normal recording for the 4K, well, you are on the road somewhere. Well, class 10 cards you can purchase everywhere. UHS 1, meanwhile, it's also quite in the modern West areas or even in modern East areas, airports, etc. You can get these cards. But maybe you will assume that you're somewhere else where it's really difficult to get them, or you must order them and take several days. Class 10 cards you get everywhere, but you want to do a 4K recording. Well, you can do that when you accept a little bit, of course, quality loss, but it's still good enough to do the 4K shooting if you want to do that. How we can do this? We make that modification into the camcorder. Let me switch to the camcorder menu, which you'll see right now. Let me switch on the input function of the camcorder. With the Firmware 2.0, you go to the system set and to your recording format. So if you switch to the 4K recording here, then you can see you have now a bitrate set up, which is a standard 150 megabit, but now you can change that also to 70 megabit. By changing that to 70 megabit, you are able to use normal, regular class 10 cards. So of course it's a quality loss, but it's still good enough in the case you say, I want to do this, the resolution, I need the resolution there. Maybe I get a little bit more noise or whatever, but I could accept that in the quality. It's an emergency case to do 4K recording on the class 10 cards. Anyway, this is also quite easy to set up when you go to the 4K recording. Well, let me cancel this operation because we want to use our imaging. This is one modification. This is for all cameras 170, 200, and also LS300. Now let's talk about the cameras which have IP functionality, which is the 200 and the LS300. Well, first let's have a quick look to the camera itself. When we look to the back part, we have a new features. This camera has a dedicated chip inside, and it allows us to do, with the firmware update, multicast streaming. Well, multicast streaming from the application point of view is a very interesting thing, because now you can use just the camera and broadcast it not to a dedicated point. With the multicast, you can stream it to a bunch of users. This is especially interesting in a local and network environment. So keep in mind you have a university or you have a conference room, and these are limited, the rooms are limited for the guests, whatever, or you want to broadcast it in somewhere in the house without moving all the people downstairs. you can put simply the camera, like here, put it on a tripod, and bring it to the network. And with the multicast streaming, you need no other tools except a small piece of software like the video LAN player. I'll call it VLC player. And with this video LAN player, you can watch what is coming from the camera everywhere, basically in your building. And it doesn't matter if there are 5 viewers, 10 viewers, 10 viewers, or 20 viewers, or 30 viewers. This is only limited by the own network bandwidth environment, not by the camera itself. So how we can do this? What you can see here, the best for such application is when you not goes wireless into the camcorder, because wireless could have some interference or whatever. It's much easier, because we're talking about a local network solution here. It's much easier to take a simple adapter, which are here, it costs around about €7. It's a USB to cut adapter. You connected that to the camcorder. Of course, this adapter must be registered. In this case here is an EDIMAX adapter. You find it also on the wireless compatibility list for wired dongles. So I go into the network here, and it goes with my cable into my own network. In this case, for example, my router. Then we look to the camera side, and let's have a view to the camera itself. Here we are. So what we have to do, first of all, is status information on the screen. You can see that here, just right here, you see this network symbol. So we have already a network set it up. And I will not talk about how we do the network setup, because this is the same procedure as you do it with any network hardware. There is also a dedicated seminar and also the information which you find in the booklet, how you do a general connection. Just a quick overview. We want to concentrate how we do in a multicast streaming. So we go to our setup here, go to the system setup, and then we go down for the settings. Some people always go to the network at first. There you have to go to the settings. So first of all, you do your regular connection setup with the wizard or your story. This is already done. And just for your information, if your network is already done, for example, in my case, you can press the status button. I show you that here on the back side. Here you have the status button on this side. So you press this status button, and when you put it on, you can use the cursor key and you can see all your camera setup. Also, you can see your network setting on the camera. For example, in this case, we have an Ethernet connection, or the Cat45 connection with DHCP. So we get from our router the IP address for the camera. Is a standard normal environment IP address class C. So 192.168.2.101. This is a regular IP address, the MAC address of the adapter. And you can see we're using MPEG-2 TS UDP video stream when we switch the stream on. This is our normal network setting, nothing special as usual. Okay, let's go out of the screen. Let's go back to our setup. Here in our system setup, we go to the settings, and we want to do the live streaming multicast setup. First of all, we go to our stream server. Since we have the new firmware, you can set up 4 different areas. So for example, you can do it one day on this IP address, or you can do the setup here for the multicast, or you can do another setup directly to a point-to-point, or you can do as a third one, you can use your setup to go directly to a CDN. Whatever, here is my multicast. I name it so. You have here an alias, which you can give any name you wanted. In my example, it's called multi. And when we want to do this kind of broadcast, we have to use the UDP. Multicast is only possible on the UDP port in our camera. Well, then we need to input an address. And this is something, there is a reservation for multicast addresses. The multicast addresses called it in the D network environment. And this addresses has a special range. And also you'll find that on the documents, you don't have to note this. The address starts from 224, also 224.0.0.0, and it goes up to 239.255.255.255. I repeat it. We start with the multicast address in the address room 224.0.0.0, and it goes up to 239.255.255. Well, we have to take one of these addresses, which I pick up here. In my example is 235.255.0.1. That should be my multicast address because it's in the range of the reserved address room. So you see that's very simple. It's just an address which you input in that case of environment. Okay, this is already done. Let's cancel this. The next is we need to input a destination port. The destination port is a free selection what you want. Normally there are some reservation. For example, port 80 is normally used for web service. Port 21 is for FTP transfer. So you should something use which is basically a free address room in the normal network. So for my example, I take the port 6500. Well, and that's it. Jitter compensation is in this case not needed. This is only for dedicated decoders when we do a point-to-point connection. So we can keep it normal. That's all for our settings. So you can see it's the same, basically the same setting as to a dedicated address. Here we use an address which must be in the multicast environment, and we take a port on our selection. That's it. And then we can go out. So our server is set up. Then we go to the server settings. We select the server which we do the settings, which was our multi. And then we can select the resolution depending on your network environment. If you do that the first time, it's always good to take a lower resolution. For example, here SD, and I normally use here 1.5 megabit or 800 kilobit only, just to start to see is everything running okay, because I don't know what is my network performance. Also, it makes it easier to detect problems with the firewall. For example, if the firewall is blocked, the port or the addresses, of course, then you cannot stream. This is also you have to take care when you do the streaming that the firewall is not blocking this. Therefore, for the first test, we can go there. So if you have a good network, it's very easy to go up to 8 or especially also 12 megabit streaming, so you get a fantastic quality basically over local NAN network. So that's our setup, that's all. So again, to repeat, first of all, connection, do a normal connection to your network, then you go to your live streaming setup, go to a dedicated area here, for example, call it multicast or whatever you like to do it. Select the UDP stream, select the IP address in the multicast streaming area, take the destination port. That's it. So we are ready to do the streaming. And of course, let's make our life a little bit easier. I explained it last time already. Go to your camera function, scroll down to the user switch settings, take one of the user buttons. You remember there are a lot of buttons which are free to use. For example, in my case, I use the user button number 3 to start and stop the live streaming. So, and then what I do. So we start now with the live streaming here. I push the button and you can see my camera gives the message, we go on live. And keep in mind, this is independent for the recording. You still can do an SD card into the camcorder on the side here. You can still put an SD card in, you can use still the recording. So if you have a conference or whatever, you can do the recording and you can do the broadcast that you not leave the content. So our camera is broadcast. So what we have to do, and let's show how we can do that on the VLC side. So give me a second to move the camera here on a different screen, and I take here a different resolution. So let me quickly set up here a little bit the focus. So we have a normal screen here running my PC. My PC is also in that network, and you basically you see here the stream on that camcorder. So let's move a little bit more closer. So I guess you can see that. here. This is now already open, the VLC player. And let me bring down the iris a little bit. So I guess it's good this way. So if you open the VLC player, you notice that's free of charge software. So everybody can use that. So very easy to handle, very easy to install. As the most people knows this video LAN client. So you open the unit and say network stream open, and then comes this window here. Let me close that, and I think you can see that what I have to type in. So here is important. You see that we have to use as a network address the UDP because we're streaming on UDP. Double point / and then you put the @ sign, and in that @ sign you add exactly the IP address, the multicast stream address, which you input into the camera. In our example, it was the 239.255.1.0. Sorry, .0.1. Then you put a double point and you put the port number, which is 6500. This is the address which you have to input, and then of course you go back and simply push then playback, and it takes about 10 seconds, and you see here, here's our live image. Just here from the camera. Of course this has a delay, you can see that I put my hand in here right now. So and there's of course a delay before it arrives there on the screen. But it's now broadcasting. It's just with my PC and I open it and it's running. Now if your network is good, you can increase the quality, you can increase the bit stream, and you can have a nice broadcasting in your environment. Well, it's also possible that you use just a different device, and I hope I can show you this example. Takes a moment, yes, of course. And I simply show that I have the same screen here. This is exactly, I'm going to move the camera picture here. It's the same here on my smartphone. Even that is possible. I pick up the same stream at the same time with my smartphone, or everybody which is in the network here, my local network, and it's not blocked by the firewall, can view now this video. So, again, to repeat, open the media box, open the network stream, and just to remember, here is the address, our example address for the stream. A very interesting cheap solution to make a local network broadcasting with just GY-HM200 or LS300 when you use that camera in your network. So that's the key points for that unit. Now let's change the camcorder. Give me a second. We stop the broadcasting here. Stop the program, and let's go to the LS300. So, put the camera on the side. Let's take the LS300. Here we are. So, and we have now the LS300 on the box, and I will show we talk about some dedicated updates, especially for the LS300. So first of all, we added some new recording features, and therefore let's look to the camcorder itself. So let's go to the menu item of the LS300. Here we are. So take the menu option, and what is new, a feature for that one is the recording set, our recording format. When we change now to HD, you have more selection of recording capability. What's new is also the Cine 4K recording, or the Cinema 4K recording with 4096 pixel. And also what is new is the Cine 2K recording with 2058 pixels. When you switch to that recording, that is really the native recording of that resolution, and also the camera can output this resolution. So, but keep in mind, then you need a display device which also support the Cine 4K feature. These are two new recording steps into the software. Let's look to some other important point. Of course, we have also, when you change to the 4K recording, in case of the 4K recording, you can switch also here to the 70 megabit to use the class 10 cards, same as we had before. Okay, let's cancel the setup, otherwise we not have the picture here. Let's talk about the BSM function. As last time in the seminar for the LS300, we talk about the option, the optics, and let's quickly review that possibility. As you remember, when you change the optics, we can select exactly the frame which our image circle from the lens is coming, and we can match the camera that without vignetting it's working to the camcorder. In case of HD recording, in the case of HD recording, of course, the full sensor information is used, but we can also use the part of the information without losing the quality, because we have pixels enough. It's anyway, in case of HD recording, it will be, of course, calculated. So when we assume that we have our full format optics in front and we do 4K recording, then we have an adjustment range from the 100% here down to the MFT resolution to 80%. This is a quite important information. Please keep that for a moment in while. So it's 20% in case of 4K recording of screen adjustment. What does it mean? We will see later when we go further down. Let's assume we use the full format optics, but our production should be HD. And frankly speaking, the most people use that kind of lenses but do HD production with to get the bokeh effects, etc. But in HD projection we can have a survival tool, because then we can go down in theoretical terms up to 43% down. This is around about 57% range which we have. So what does it mean? When you're looking to that part here on the screen, I hope I can show you that. Yeah, well, there we are. So when you're looking now to this area here, this window area, when I confirm this and watch the total picture, let's confirm this, and now you can see, basically, you see exactly this part. It's like a digital zoom. Okay, change back. Recording set. Change the variable scan mapping to full size. And confirm it. And go out. And here we are to our normal screen mode. Well, we have this function, but you are on tour with a fixed lens. So when, for example, here, I'm going to show you there is a fixed lens, and this is a 35mm lens, which I have here. We are on the production side, and normally we want to use the full sensor format, we want to have our bokeh information, but our shot requirements normally maybe a 40mm lens, or 45 or 50mm lens, but I don't have it. I have it not in my pocket. So what to do? Well, with a trick of that what you have seen before, we make a special software trick for this version. And you go to your camera function, scroll down, and you find here the grip zoom function. Normally the setup is on zoom. Zoom means that our grip focus, and let's go back when we're talking about the grip, we're talking at the moment only about the rocker switch here in front. Let me zoom that a little bit in. Let me have the same understanding. Here we are. So there is our rocker switch, which is normally a normal zoom function. But in the case of a normal standard optics, which has no motor drive, it becomes useless. So we don't need it. When going back to the menu item, we can select that unit to focus. When we say we have a lens here in front, which is an electronic lens, which has manual focus, manual zoom operation, but in electronic focus, we can use this rocker switch here on top. This one we can use to do the zoom adjustment. This we can do with that setup which you see here. Now we're coming to the new, basically, variable scan mapping zoom, which is this function. Now I have it set on. Keep in mind, I have a fixed optics here in front. This is the same screen what we had before. Now I can use the rocker switch here, can push it, and when you see what happens, we have a digital zoom. Of course, it's about in the range of 55% when we do an HD production. So this is kind of an emergency motion. It's not like a full manual zoom or electronic zoom, of course, but it helps me in that case. I need to do a shot which I have no lens prepared. So it's a very nice feature in this case. And now coming back, which I mentioned you before, when you do 4K recording, when you have a full format optics and you do 4K recording, then of course this range is only 20%. That is maybe only round about this range what you see here. It's not more. It's also just an emergency case. When you use an MFT optic in front, of course then there is no possibility to do that, because MFT is already 20% less than Super 35 and 30% less than full format optics, so there is no headroom to do that. So this digital tricky zoom function works only in 4K recording, full format optic, about 20% headroom, and when you make the judgment that you do an HD production, then you have around 57% headroom to do your adjustment in case of a digital zoom without losing the quality. Well, this is for the recording or for the handling of the optics. There's another important feature, and that is basically the last one in the time, so I'm expecting 45 minutes around. Another feature which we have here, which is in the camera process, and that's for all the people who want to do a new experience. I mean, the people who are doing film screening, they have already the experience regarding lock function or LTU function for cinema style, and you get more headroom, about 800% more dynamic, and a more flat image where you can do your image adjustment into the post. So we build in the gamma setting. This is our standard ITU gamma level, which you see here. Then we can switch to the cinema gamma, and that's the GVC log file. And I hope you can see that already on the screen. You know, in my studio I have not yet here a test picture and so on. We have a nice video, by the way, made from our US colleagues on the YouTube from a user. He makes a nice explanation with real imaging how you can work with the cinema log. So I don't have to explain that for the professionals which use a DaVinci or some other grading tools. Maybe they have the question if we GVC support LTU tables, lookup tables. The normal operation, if you do the recording, you get a lookup table which brings you down to more or less to the ITU 709, so as a startup of the gamma curve and the color reproduction. Well, yes, this files, because this is a brand new feature right now, the files are not ready right now. We're preparing such files. In the moment we have already prepared it for the Shogun, for the recording device of Atomos. So you can do direct shooting with the lock, and the monitoring is live, doing a reproduction to ITU 709. This LTU for the Atomos is going to prepare it as a file, and will be quite soon it will be on the web that you can download it, that feature, and you can edit it into the Atomos Shogun. And also we going to prepare a cube file, which is for the DaVinci, for example. They're using cube files, and basically is a CSV data with the data, with the lookup data. This will coming soon. It's not ready right now, but we are preparing this, and it will come to you. For the people who have no experience, and I will make a quick draw what you can do with it. Of course, you are from the professional side, you have much more experience in that field, so please be patient. I will make only in this short time and only here on the web screen a very, very short information how you can do that. First of all, for the people who have interest that as a first catch-up to work with a cinema log, you know, it's compressed the white, it compressed also the black. You basically have more image headroom and more data to manipulate the picture, and you can actually create very, very nice imaging when you do the grading process after you're doing the shooting. But first of all, you have to learn, when you simply see it, there's no test banner right now, but you can see the difference. Now you have the gamma there, you have the blacks there. The cinema is a different gamma, it's 2.6 gamma. And the cinema log gives you totally gray, less colors. And when you do the shooting and see that, and you say, oh, that looks awful at the moment. But keep in mind, when you do these shots, your work is after the recording. In the case of this production, you have basically, the first step is to do the shooting. It's in front of the camera and do the recording work. But the real work is after that you do by your editing and do by the grading. So, for our example with the GVC log here, let's go back to our camera, and I have something prepared just as a quick draw to see the difference on the screen. But be patient, I have only the choice here to do that here on the screen. Go back to my screen, which we have seen before, and I give you a very quick hint. Okay, here we are. So you can see that's difficult to see, but this is always when you do this, let's say low resolution presentation, whatever, but I hope it's possible to see. So in my example here, I use the Edimax, Edius, not Edimax. Edimax was my network driver, and so here we can see the picture. So I hope it's good enough to see, and give you some explanation. Put the iris lens a little bit down. I have split the image here. There's basically two recordings with my files on the Edius screen. So file number one, it's a normal ITU7 recording. You see the normal colors, you see the blacks, etc. On this screen, you see the same picture because it's now on the timeline in the same file. Let's have a quick comparison when we move to the same file which was shot with the JOC GVC log up. So here we are. So, and you can see directly the difference. The color is down, but the gray levels are higher. The white, it's compressed. So for the first information, say, oh, this image of course looks much better for the people who have the idea to try that at the first time. Now your work starts here to bring that picture to your shape what you want. You do the artist on the screen for the people who starts up with this. And in your editing system, like a Final Cut or like this Edius or Premiere, you have also a grading part, which calls color correction or grading, etc. I already opened that, and when I move the screen a little bit to the side, like here, let me zoom that a little bit in. So, now you get here the tools. And now it's time to create your new picture in what you want to have in that one. It's artist-like. You can have more contrast, you can shave the curve, more dark, or lift it up, or bring the brightness down without overshooting. You can change the saturation, the image feel and look. So you can fully manipulate basically the image. And you have a wider headroom as instead you use the standard file. Of course you can manipulate the standard file also, but your headroom is more limited. So make a very quick draw here. For example, I simply open my contrast area and I drag it drop to my file, and then open my adjustments. So, and then we have here our adjustment tools. So let me go a bit away. So, and I do really, it's not, of course, maybe not in the right way, but anyway, just to show you how you manipulate the screen. So I can raise up the contrast, can bring down the brightness a little bit. So I can set up my chroma gain, bring the chroma gain up. So make some nice colors here, like that. And also I can change the image style a little bit more reddish into that. So, and you can see, look to the background, and you know, this is very, say, not the professional life, but you can immediately see the difference to file A and file B. So you can see that I can have much manipulated the image very quickly to that one. Of course, this is not what artists work. Artists work need time, look to each part of the screen. You have a lot of selection here to do the screen manipulation. Not only as a full screen, you can do also manipulation only partly on the screen. Here is another example. Let me remove that back, that feature, and you see, simply I can remove that all. Let's take the UI curved, which is when we want to draw our gamma settings. So I will open here now the gamma curve. You can see here I get my gamma curve, and now I can start to change the gamma. For example, here, bring that a little bit down, come closer to that area, bring the white part a little bit up, something like that. You can do that also for a different area of the screen, like in the color. You can change, give them the screen a different touch, whatever you like to work on, in the red or whatever, or only in the red. I overdrive that now, just something where you can play around. And yeah, basically another point to do that. Also, other option you have with the color wheels. Put the color wheels on your file. So, and then you have the color wheels here. Let's move that here in the screen. Let's change the contrast a little bit, take a little bit more contrast, and then you can start with the color wheel, and you can see you can manipulate the screen, the image in any direction which you like. The color phase change or any part of the screen is possible, only the areas, etc. There's a lot of option to do screen manipulation with that one. Well, at the end of the day, when you say this is my picture which I want to grade it, this is exactly the way which I want to have. In Edios, for example, there is that is Ulrich recommend here in this area. So here we have a screen where all our setups is based in all our settings. And let's make an example which I have before. Take that effect, bring it here to the screen. This one, put it here. So there is our adjustment which we had before. Let's open the contrast ratio a little bit, bring this a little bit down, do a little bit again. This is just it's now for the example. Let's assume it's our adjustment which we want to have. Okay, let's go a little bit back so you can see the screen top. Here we are. So now the question is how complicated it is. Here is our another clip. So keep in mind, this is our IDU clip. This is what we just corrected, and this is another clip which we want to use with the same settings. How we can do this? Okay, go back to your first clip, select the tool which you have here and simply draw it to another clip and go back, and then you have the same setting there. So easy as this. So if you have 10, 7, 8 clips, just draw them to the items. This is one way you can work in Edius for that one, but there is also other ways to do the workaround. So, well, as you can see, you have a new function with the GVC lock. The professionals know how exactly they use that, but it's very interesting when you do, for example, if you're a wedding photographer and you do the weddings, and maybe you put one of the camera on the side and try the first time you do with your record with the GVC lock file, which gives you higher bandwidth, about 800% more dynamic range. And you take it, and of course you need to have a program, your editing program. Normally you have to do that anyway. And if you have like Edius Final Cut X or Premiere, you have these collaborating issues, and start to do that kind of work. And you will see, you will be impressed what you can do with the imaging. So for that kind of feedback, I go back to my PC screen here, and just I want to remember you for the page. We have here the video page on here, and when you click to recorded videos, this video will be also recorded and will be placed here on my YouTube channel. And I can recommend it that you look to the GVC Professional US site, which you can drop here, and there you can find the latest demonstration of the GVC log file, and you can enjoy and can see what you can do in the post-production when you have this kind of feature. Well, we are on time, 45 minutes. Thank you for listening. If there are any questions, the chat room is still open. So, and I will have a look at if there are some questions or not, or see you later then for the German seminar, which is at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Okay, take care, bye-bye, and God bless you. Ciao.